Wondering if there have been any last-minute changes to the groups or heats in the World's Strongest Man for 2020? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about in this video.
Ciao, homie!
Ciao, homie. I am my block's strongest man, and I help you create small goals that matter in whatever you do. On this channel, we exercise with everyday objects, talk bodybuilding and strength sports, and review my block's best gadgets. If you're new here, consider subscribing and clicking the bell button for all notifications of my upcoming videos that release every other day at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And at any point during this video, check out links in the description below where I list out everything that I've discussed in this video and how to get merchandise that helps us spread this message of small goals matter together, and tips like TubeBuddy to help supercharge your own channel. So on to today's topic.
So, Big Law's official broke the news of what the heats would be for the World's Strongest Man 2020 just last evening, and this morning, a few hours later, he has come back on YouTube with updates. Apparently, they've made some last-minute changes, and so again, I encourage you to check out his video where he goes into this in detail, but I wanted to delve into how that affects my standings of who I think is going to win the 2020 World's Strongest Man. So, what changed? Well, Groups 1 and Group 2 did not change at all. They remain with the competitors that they had before. So, obviously, I remain with my picks of the two of each group who will advance to the finals. Luke Richardson and Robert Obrist will advance out of Group 1, and Adam Bishop and Mikhail Shivlikov will advance out of Group 2. I'm sticking with those predictions. So, there's been a change to Group 3 now. Tom Stoltman and Trey Mitchell, Gav Biltong and Maxime Boudreau remain in Group 3, but Avar Smalstelis has been moved from Group 5 into Group 3, and Alexei Novikov has been moved from Group 3 to Group 5. So, the reasoning for that is because Wesley Claiborne, who was part of Group 5, has gone through the extensive COVID testing that is required of World's Strongest Man, and apparently he passed 2 tests and failed 2 tests, so that disqualifies him. I'm not sure how the testing can be that erratic, but apparently very sad for Wesley. He can no longer compete and has to pack up and go home, so, very sad for him. However, the alternate, one of my favorite strongmen of all time, who I'm super excited to be seeing now, Nick Best was the alternate, and he has now moved into Group 5, into Wesley Claiborne's spot. Group 4 has also gotten Irvin Toots, who was in Group 5 as well. So Group 5 had to make kind of 2 spots, right? They moved Alexei over, and then they moved Wesley Claiborne out. So Irvin Toots moved out of Group 5 as well into Group 4. So the changes are, again, Group 3, Aviar Smalstelis moves into Group 3, swapping with Alexei Novikov, who moves into Group 5. In Group 4, Irvin Toots moved into Group 4 and out of Group 5 to make that spot for Alexei. And then Wesley Claiborne moves out of Group 5, leaving an opening for none of the existing competitors to fill because there weren't enough, so the alternate Nick Best moves into Group 5. So, question becomes, how does this affect my prediction for the 2020 World's Strongest Man? And again, it only would or could affect Groups 3, 4, and 5. Everyone's talking about how Group 5 is super unfairly stacked now, and, all this talk of just handing Brian Shaw the title goes away. Like, if Brian Shaw wins this title, he has to seemingly work harder than anybody else to win it. And I don't know if that was done on purpose or what, but apparently Alexei Novikov gave, Brian's group a lot of trouble last year, and I don't know if they're trying to stack it to prove a point that Brian's not going to just walk away with his 5th win and become only the 2nd man in World's Strongest Man history to have 5 titles along with Mariusz Pudzianowski. So, Group 3, does this affect my predictions? No, I still think that Tom Stoltman and Trey Mitchell come out of Group 3, the finalists. Group 4, Irvin Toots moving into Group 4. Would not affect my pick there either. I still stick with JF Caron, who I think is one of the front runners to win the whole thing, and Graham Hicks. And then Group 5 becomes the tough one. So now we have Brian Shaw, Luke Stoltman, Alexei Novikov, Terry Hollins, and Nick Best. So, I had picked Brian Shaw and Luke Stoltman to come out of this group. Now that Alexei Novikov is in there, that makes it a little tougher. So I think I'm still going to stick with my picks here. Nick Best is a great veteran and does really well at all events, especially like the loading medleys he's going to do well in. Let's go back and check those events for the qualifiers. And again, shout out to startingstrongman.com for listing out all these events so they're easy for us to follow. They were really hard to find anywhere else. And again, we have a loading medley. A loading medley Nick Best is going to do fantastic in. He's very, very nimble and great at those types of events. Squat, I think he'll do well. Truck pull, I don't think he has the mass to hang with some of the bigger guys. Deadlift, same thing. He'll do well for his size, but not well compared to Brian Shaw. Then we have the log. Okay, so I'm trying to choose between Nick Best and Alexei Novikov in these particular events. I'm going to go with the young gun. So I'm going to say Novikov would be better than Nick Best in more of these events, just because he's the younger, fresher guy. Despite how much I love watching Nick Best compete and give his all. So now the question becomes, will Alexei outdo Luke Stoltman? I'm going to say no. So I'm going to stick with all of my same picks from the original video that I did on these predictions. So Group 1, Luke Richardson, Robert Oberst. Group 2, Adam Bishop and Mikhail Shivlikov. Group 3, Tom Stoltman and Trey Mitchell. Group 4, JF Carone and Graham Hicks. Group 5, Brian Shaw and Luke Stoltman. And that makes the math easy for the finals. None of it changes, so my podium remains the same, where I have the prediction of Brian Shaw winning the show, JF Carone 2nd, Luke Stoltman 3rd, Robert Oberst 4, Tom Stoltman 5, Mikhail Shivlikov 6, Adam Bishop 7, Luke Richardson 8, Trey Mitchell 9, and Graham Hicks 10. So it sounds weird to make Graham Hicks last, so I could be way off on that. But that's my prediction. After doing the math one more time, with the new shuffling of the groups, my prediction remains. So thanks again for joining me today. Hope you found this helpful, and I hope you appreciate getting the very latest in news. And again, my source for that, Big Loz Official. Go check him out. Anything I'm talking about with bodybuilding on last-minute news and updates, Nick Strength and Power, and anything I'm talking about strongman-wise, Big Loz Official. These sources for news in those areas, so go check them out. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time. So if you like this video and want to learn more about any of the products I described during this video, make sure to check out the links in the description below. So if you like this video and haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing using that button right there. And also, stay tuned for some other videos that you might love blooping up right there. This one is the one that YouTube thinks that you will like the best, and this one is the one that I think you will like the best. As always, share this with everyone, and until next time, ciao, homie.